everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, the Ravenclaw Queen. I'm trying out something new today, so I'm filming on my HP desktop. I feel like it looks blurry. I don't know if that's just me or what, but I feel like it looks blurry. I'm gonna try to film this and just see how it looks once I upload it. I'm also filming it through CapCut. That's the editing service that I'm using. So instead of filming it on my phone, because my phone is like almost out of storage, so it keeps like cutting off the video, I'm gonna just film it straight on CapCut on my computer and we'll see how it turns out. So, and if it's blurry, I'm sorry. Um, I don't really have the money to get the camera that I want. So hopefully by the time we go to Puerto Rico in July, I will have the new camera to do like a nice travel vlog. Um, Also, I plan on doing a travel vlog next month. I'm going to Houston, and it's going to be a nice, like, fun trip. Right now, it's a solo trip, so it's just going to be me, like, going out and doing things that I've wanted to do. I've never been to Houston before, so I'm really excited about that. Also, Beyonce's dropping her Act 2 um, album, so that will come out literally while I'm in Houston. So I'm definitely gonna have on my cowgirl attire when I go places. So yeah, it's gonna be really fun. But if you guys are wondering why I haven't dropped any travel vlogs, I haven't been anywhere. Earlier this month, I went to Philly to see one of my good friends for her birthday. That was fun, but I hadn't decided to start vlogging yet, so I didn't vlog that experience. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna vlog for Houston, so that'll be like my first travel vlog. And then we're going to Puerto Rico in July, so that'll be like that's with all my best friends, so that'll be real epic. But yeah, so for this video, we're here because it's Maniac Monday again. I am going to talk about my experience for college and law school, learning, that I had anxiety, that I was slightly depressed, and then um, going from law school to being like a what I would consider more of an adult, like out of school, I began to learn that I was having episodes, but at the time I didn't know that it was bipolar depression, um, or just bipolar disorder. So let's start with college. I think the last video I finished kind of talking about high school and like how I had a lot of anxiety with mock trial, FBLA, like just being very involved. So going to college in general is just a stressful experience for someone. You're just young, you don't really know much, you're away from your family for a long time. Furman's only like 2 hours away from where I live, but it was still, an adjustment. Um, so I remember having a lot of stress freshman year. I was also doing mock trial at Furman freshman year. That was really stressful for me being the new kid, and like the intensity of mock trial in college was just way harder than the intensity in high school. Like I went from being the captain at my high school to feeling like the underdog at Furman. So it was just very intimidating. I definitely suffer from imposter syndrome a lot. So coming to Furman, I had imposter syndrome being like one of the few black people in my classes, just kind of a similar experience with Nation 4 though. Like I was one of the few black people in like the honors and AP classes. Um, so that was a lot. I would say once I found the people who are still close to me today, like friends that I have from college, once I found that community, I did begin to prosper and I didn't feel like the social anxiety anymore. And I stopped doing mock trial after like my first semester of Furman. So I think that really helped with my development because mock trial was making me very stressed. Like I wish you guys could just understand, like on top of the homework I already had, like just, mock trial just it was a lot. And we also had to travel. So we went to Syracuse, we went to Atlanta, like we were traveling and that was taking a toll on me as well. And just having to be around people that I didn't see myself in, it was just very hard. So then second semester of Furman, was way more fun, like my freshman year, I would say. I also got out of a toxic relationship with someone I was with in high school. So I think that really helped. And then sophomore year was good. Sophomore year was the first time I went out of the country. So I did a study abroad to Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Cuba, and Mexico. The study abroad itself was just 8 weeks. It wasn't a full semester. So that's what appealed to me because I did not really want to be away for a whole semester. Also, I knew that I could learn Spanish some more and like use my Spanish. At the time, I wasn't a Spanish major though. I just was really interested in Spanish. I was always a political science major first, but this trip itself focused on politics, sociology of health, and the history of Latin America. So that was why I was interested. And one of my professors, shout out to Dr. Ching, he mentioned it like that they were like freshman year. He was my writing seminar professor, and he is a history professor at Furman. Well, I don't know if he's still there, but he was. And I keep forgetting that I graduated in 2020, so like a lot can change in 4 years. But anyway, but yeah, Dr. Ching, he mentioned the program to me and he was like, oh yeah, you should think about applying. And I did. It was my first time out of the country, so that was really fun. Um, I made a really close friend, Noah. She went on the trip. Me and her were the only two black girls. So that kind of caused a lot of anxiety. We had a lot of different incidents with where we felt racism from people in the classroom or just people in general. We felt, political division when we discussed certain topics in class. Furman has a very mixed population when it comes to politics. So sometimes we felt like people were not attacking us, but we didn't feel comfortable sharing our views because we were more liberal and they were more conservative. Some people were more openly conservative, which in the time of, Trump, that's what it is. But so, yeah, so sophomore year was a highlight for sure because of the trip. And then junior year, I just remember being fun. Like my classes were easy. The only thing about junior year that stressed me out was I had an internship. So I did an internship with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Greenville. I was working in their human trafficking division. I was helping them prosecute criminals who had been trafficking primarily young girls. I even got to meet one of the young girls, and that was so hard for me. So yes, the whole junior year, uh, I was interning. Oh, also sophomore year summer, like the summer before junior year, I interned with Soteria, which is a community development program for previously incarcerated persons. Um, so shout out to Pastor Jerry Blasingame. He started that to help people who have been in prison and to help them get jobs and be functioning members of society following prison because it is very hard for someone with a criminal background to get a job. So yeah, that was a great internship as well. I did grant writing for them, and the grant writing is actually it's a really good skill to have. So I'm very appreciative for that opportunity. And like I said, I interned with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and then the summer, oh excuse me, the summer before senior year, I interned with the Greenville County Public Defender's Office, which was really awesome. And I will say these internships made me realize that I didn't want to do criminal law. Like I did not want to go to the courthouse all the time for people having crimes. Like I honestly didn't even want to be on either side of it. I was in my head, I was like, maybe I should just do corporate law. Like I can make more money and I would probably be less like stressed about the actual people that I'm working with. Like when you work in corporate, it's not like you really see people, you see dollar signs, honestly. So, like, you're not defending someone's livelihood or prosecuting someone's livelihood. So, I feel like my conscience would have been more clear. But anyway, senior year. So, you guys I mentioned already. So senior year was 2019 or started in 2019. So, I went to Spain with my class. I was officially a Spanish major at this point. So, I had applied for the study abroad. I had a host family, so it was a big adjustment, living with people I didn't know, having to speak Spanish like full time. I will say the class structure that we had was very easy. Like think almost everyone got an A. Like, I will say this trip, I liked the girls who were on this trip way better than the girls who were on the trip sophomore year. No offense to them, but I think we just had a better vibe. Um, I will say most of the girls from sophomore trip, they were really nice to me. Like, I was the baby on the trip. I was the only sophomore. Everybody else was a junior, I'm pretty sure. So I do think everyone was really nice to me. I just didn't feel like safe with everyone, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't feel safe sharing my opinions. But even when I was on my trip in Spain, like, I remember one girl, I'm not gonna say who it is, but I will say I know for a fact that she supports Trump. But we were able to have, a conversation about economics, the economy, and it didn't turn into me feeling like, oh, she was trying to invalidate my opinion. Like, we really just had a good conversation. And that's what I want from people who believe in different things. Like, I want people to be able to share their truth. And whether I agree with it or not, it's not about that. It's about being able to respect other people and live um, cohesively in this world that God has created. And I'm saying that because I believe in God, and if you don't, that's fine. But I'm not going to deny that God is the reason for everything. So, anyway, that's my tidbit. So, back to like my mental health during this time, though. So, I would say that I was kind of in a good state for the most part. I would say Spain was probably the most fun I had in college, like being out of the country, we went to Paris, we went to Milan, Venice, we went to Menorca, a small island off of Spain. Like, we were just living it up. We went to Portugal as a class. Like, every weekend was something fun. So Spain was definitely like the biggest highlight for my college career. Shout out to my parents for, helping me pay for things. But But Spain was also a hard time because my mother, if you guys don't know my mom, she had a double hysterectomy, which is a very like, I don't want to say very common, but it's not one of those surgeries where stuff is supposed to go wrong, if that makes sense. But things went wrong. The doctor or surgeon, they clipped one of her intestines, so her body started to fill up with bile. This happened in August 2018 before I went to Spain. So I literally saw her become physically ill. I had to take her to her doctor. Then I had to take her to the emergency room where they had to like quickly get her in a room because she could have died. And that was very hard to see my mom in that state. If you guys remember, she was like, she looked so ill. She did not look like herself. She couldn't do anything. It was just like she was in the hospital for months while I was in Spain. And that was probably the hardest thing. And then my father wanted to really protect like me from what was going on. So I would call and he'd be like, "Oh, things are okay," but really they weren't, and it was just like a hard time for me. So that I think started my depression, I would say, because I really thought, I'm going to lose my mom and not be there to see her for one last time or hear her voice again. So that was really hard for me. I'm thankful for the women who were on the trip with me that helped me in those moments. Like, when I woke up early in the morning and just wrote my journal and then would just start crying thinking about it. The girls who were there for me, like, thank you so much. But yeah, so then Spain was good though for the most part. And then coming back from Spain, seeing my mom, how her body had changed, her face, her hair, everything was just different about her. She was having a hard time like coming back to herself. I'm thankful now that she has, returned to her normal self. And she's better than ever, healthy, everything. We do E2M together, sidebar. We do E2M. It's this workout program through Facebook, and she's lost over 50 pounds in the past 2 years. Probably more than that now, but she's kept up with it. She's eating right. She's trying to get off of her medications that she has to take still. And I'm really proud of her. And that seeing how she was and how she is now just makes me really believe that God is real. Um, so yeah, anyway, coming back from Spain, back to Greenville, adjusting to school, applying to law schools at the time. it was really hard. Like, this is where I started to feel like intense anxiety. I don't know where this cough is coming from. I've been feeling sick like the past 2 days, but so yeah, I was feeling intense anxiety. I even went to the counseling center at Furman, and they give you like this intake quiz to do. Um, and then when the therapist brought me back, she was like, "Yeah, it seems like you're experiencing social anxiety." So that was the first time someone put in words like what I was experiencing. And that was very, interesting to hear her say, yeah, it seems like you're experiencing social anxiety. Here's some things that can help, blah, 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 blah. And I didn't continue going to the counseling center because at the time I wasn't really comfortable with therapy yet. Um, I also didn't have time to go. Like, I was in a lot of clubs while I was at Furman. I don't really want to mention them, but just know I was busy and I was still working at the library and doing CLP work. If you don't know what CLPs are, cultural life programs, so everyone has to get a certain amount so that they can graduate. So I was working that. So it was just a lot going on, and I was very anxious about my decision for law school because I was between USC and UNC. I chose UNC because their ranking was better, but in the long run, I feel like if I had chosen USC, I probably would have stayed in law school just because I would have been closer to home and I would have known more people at USC. And I have more family in Columbia. But I was just kind of caught up in like the ranking and like the opportunity and knowing that I wanted to live in Charlotte and work in Charlotte. I was like, oh, I should just get my law license in North Carolina. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But so yeah, so mental health wise, I was feeling a lot of social anxiety, slightly depressed because I just didn't really know where I wanted to go with my life. And then March comes. So, before March though, we had a CLP about COVID in February. So people knew about COVID, but we just didn't know how bad it was going to be. So we had a CLP talking about COVID, and everyone was just there, like, okay, like this is some new disease, whatever. Like it's in China, like it's not going to bother us. But then we go home for spring break, and then we get an email that says, you can't come back, basically. So literally, senior year, we're not going to get to do the wine tasting. We're not going to get to hop in the Furman fountain. We're not going to go to all of the awards ceremonies that we were supposed to go. We didn't have a graduation in 2020. It was just so much like that was devastating to me. Like, I didn't think the last time I would have seen my friends in person would have been um, on campus before spring break. We were supposed to turn up for graduation. So that was really hard. I think I really did fall into depression during that time. I remember losing a lot of weight too. I don't know if anyone noticed, but when I look back at pictures of myself, I was so skinny then. Um, and then I don't know. I just was kind of like, you know what? Forget Furman. Like, let's just move into, we're going to law school. We're focused on that. So I remember like, let me go ahead and get my apartment for law school. So I got an apartment. I got an apartment by myself. I was going to be living like not too far from campus, even though we couldn't even go to campus for law school, which is another reason why I dropped out. I couldn't go to the library. I moved to Chapel Hill. I met with one girl in person. We went and got pizza. She was really nice. Very impressive girl. She went to Harvard. That's what I'm saying. Like UNC just had some very impressive individuals in my class. But anyway, she went to Harvard. She was really cool. Um, but that was the only person I met in person. There is another girl who's from Fort Mill that I knew that was in my class, but we didn't really, talk in person. Like we never talked in person. We only ever saw each other on Zoom. So, but yeah, law school without COVID is hard, but law school with COVID was like even worse. And I had already felt burnt out from college. Like if you could have seen me in the last 2 months, like from the end of March to the end of April, I had zoned out from school. I would be on Zoom in my class, like half asleep. um, Like, I was just so over it. I'm so glad that I was in my last year of law school. I mean, not law school, my last year of college. I completely understand the high schoolers who are going into college or were in their freshman year that dropped out, because it was so hard to adjust. And I am not an online learner. Like, I prefer to be in a classroom. So that was just really hard. And I feel like with law school, you really do need to be surrounded by your peers. Like, your professor is literally cold calling you. And it just feels, I don't know, doing it over Zoom just seems even more cruel, honestly, because you think you're safe because you're behind a computer, but you're not safe at all. So yeah, I just couldn't do it anymore. Like, I literally was contemplating, suicide. Like, it was just really bad. And I was living in an apartment by myself. So there were some days I would just order like a pizza and just sit and eat and like watch TV, and not do any homework because I was just over it. There were some days I would have like literally an anxiety attack before I logged into Zoom to get on my class because I just could not. I was scared, like, oh, they're gonna call on me today. Like, I'm gonna say the wrong thing, like, and look stupid. Like, in reality, it doesn't matter because everyone is struggling. Everyone is not gonna have the answer. And most people never had the right answer anyway. So I don't know why I was just so like anxious about it, but I was. And it was to the point where I remember I called my dad and I was on the phone with him and he was like, "You're not gonna hurt yourself, are you?" And that was the first time someone had said that to me. That was the first time someone had acknowledged that I could disappear. I could hurt myself. Someone had said that to me, and it was my dad, and that just made it, even harder to hear him think that, to hear him say that. It was like, wow, like maybe I am doing terrible. Maybe I do need to come home because there's no reason why he should just know that that's what I was thinking. Um, so I decided to drop out, which everything worked out perfectly. Like, I even got a big check from them. I don't know why, but and they forgave like that the loan I had. I guess because most of it was returned. I don't know what happened with that, but yeah, I used that money and I took a trip to Cabo with some of my girlfriends, and that was really fun. But yeah, I just had to let that go. And I also let's going back to the imposter syndrome that I felt over time. I definitely felt big imposter syndrome being like one of the only black women and not seeing any black professors. It was just not a good atmosphere for me. Um, and I think that leaving Chapel Hill was probably the best thing that I could have done for myself. I don't think I would be here today if I had decided to push through. I just don't think I would have done it. I think I would have disappeared. So that's it for today's video. I am almost at 25 minutes and I'm trying not to make these videos too long. Like, my last get ready with me was so long, but I guess when you get ready with someone, it does take at least 30 minutes. So I understand. But yeah, so that's it for today's Maniac Monday. Thank you for tuning in to the Ravenclaw Queen, aka Alexis. So next week we're gonna talk about how I transitioned from leaving law school, like the aftermath really, and how that led me to some of the things that came after. I think you guys are really gonna, learn from this. I mean, it might make you want to cry. Some of the things I'm going to talk about. So I will say trigger warning. Even some of the things I just shared might be triggering to you. So sorry if that was triggering. But I'm at the point now where I'm in my life. Like, I've been in therapy for a long time. Like, I feel like I can really share these things and be confident in sharing and not be like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Like, no. I think it's very good to be transparent about suicide and about self harm. I think it's very good to be transparent about it. When you're comfortable being transparent, other people will gravitate to you and, they'll want to know, like, okay, well, how are you able to get through it? And all I can say really is God is the answer. And I'll say God and I'll say, therapy, um, and if you're open to medication, I say medication has helped me over time. I will say medication is not necessary once you've gotten through like if you have episodes like me or hallucinations or delusions like I did, then the medicine is necessary, I think. But once you can grasp that you're not thinking in reality, then you're able to come, like when you come back to reality, I think you can live life without having to take anxiety, depression, or bipolar medication. That's just my thought on it. I'm not saying don't take your medicine. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying like once you really have control over your mind, and you're like rooted and you're grounded, I don't think medicine is necessary. I'm not saying don't take it, but I'm just saying I don't think it's necessary once you are sound minded. And that comes with just a lot of work and a lot of practice and a lot of faith in God, in my opinion. And once you have that faith, you can do anything. So I think the biggest takeaway from this video, I know I was signing off, but let me just say this. I feel like preaching today, even though I'm not a preacher. But I went to church this morning too, so I guess that's why I'm in like this mood. Um, it's Sunday, so just I'm filming this today because I have a very busy week. I'm literally going to be working tomorrow from 8:30 a.m. until 11 p.m. because I just got a part-time job. So I'm not going to have time to film tomorrow. So I'm going to film it right now. But yeah, my biggest takeaway I would say is think about what is fulfilling you in your life. And if you think that nothing is fulfilling you, I want you to, really reassess like what would fulfill you. And for me, that answer, God fulfills me. But if we want to, step away from religion and spirituality, let's say, like, let's just think about our lives. What fulfills us? What are we passionate about? And I want you to focus on those things. I want you to focus on those things that make you happy, those things that just randomly make you smile, those things, and it could be people as well. It could be a place, it could be any type of sense of something. But think about those things. And when you feel down, when you feel like, oh, I just want to give up, when you feel like I can't do it anymore, when you feel like I'm not enough, when you feel those feelings, I want you to think of those things that make you so happy that you could, only thing you can do is smile. Only thing you can do is just thank whatever you believe in. I want you to think of those things because those things, those people, those places are what is going to keep you in those hard times. And had I not had my family, I know I'm saying God, but had I not had my family and my friends who continue to be there for me, I also would not be here. So I think we just need to be very appreciative of who we allow in our lives. I think we need to be very appreciative of what God has allowed us to do, how far we have come. And your passion could just be your job. Like, if you feel like nothing else in your life is going right, but everything is going right in your career, everything is going right with what you do for people, what you do for a living, focus on that. Um, Everything else will come. You will continue to grow in other ways. And it's not to put all your eggs in one basket, but it's just to think like, why am I here? What is fulfilling me? And that was part of the message today at church. Are you full or are you fulfilled? And if you guys don't go to church, I would recommend Life Point Church. I go to in Fort Mill. They also have YouTube. Excuse me. So you can watch the service on YouTube. But yeah, they today the service was really good, and they asked, are you full or are you fulfilled? And people can be full of something, but are you really fulfilled by that thing? Like you could be full of love for your job, but does your job really fulfill you? Like, are you really feeling the fulfillment? And some people can say yes, some people can say no, but I want you to just think of those good things in your life because those things will help you in hard times, in desperate times, in very trying times. I will say that I thought of the good. I thought of, look how far I've come. I even got into law school as a Black woman from Fort Lawn, South Carolina. Look how far I've come. I think of those things and I reflect and I say, you know what? I'm so thankful for that. Whether or not I finish school, whether or not I go back to law school, I'm so thankful, and I'm thankful for you all. And I hope that you guys have a great day. And I hope you guys watch this whole video. And I just love you all, and I'm so appreciative of the support. Please give me comments on what you would like to see from me, as I've said before. I mean, I have a lot of ideas already, but I do want to keep my audience engaged. So just please let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much. Bye.